Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel and welcome back to Let's Talk Anime. This is a series I started last week when I talked about an anime called Fukigen na Mononokeya. And if you missed that episode, I'll go ahead and put the link in the description below so you can go ahead and watch that one as well. But this is a new series I started where I go over an anime that's not very well known, people don't know that much about it, and I tell you guys about it, hopefully introduce you guys to some new anime, perhaps one you've never heard of before. So let's get started this week with an anime called Tsuritama. So Tsuritama is a 12-episode anime produced by Kenji Nakamura in 2012. Its two main genres are comedy and sci-fi. And a brief short story on how I actually found out about this anime, it all starts with a lazy Saturday afternoon. We used to open up Hulu, close our eyes, and move around the joystick on the controller, and whatever show we landed on, we had to at least watch one episode of. After the first episode of Tsuritama, we were both confused yet enthralled by what we saw. So that's basically the story about how we binge-watched this entire anime in one sitting. The basic plot for this anime is basically saving the world combined with fishing. That's right, fishing. Yep. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump into the character introductions. I can't talk today. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump into the character introductions, and there are 4 main characters in this anime, so I'm just gonna go ahead and explain those 4. And I think that's gonna be good. The first character is Yuki Sanada, and this is a character with bright red hair and an overwhelming case of social anxiety. When he gets too nervous, he feels like he's drowning, and you can literally see water rise up and above his head, and then he makes a really strange face that people call the demon face, and actually think he's just really pissed off about what's going on, but in actuality, he's just really nervous. He lives with his grandma, who is somehow French. I actually didn't know she was French the entire time I watched the anime, but while researching it for this episode, it was on her Wikipedia page, so whatever, grandma's French now. Fucking croissant, oui oui baguette. Did I just offend every French person? Probably. I'm sorry. The second character is a lively blonde-haired boy named Haru. There is no last name because he is in fact an alien. I know, I just lost you. But stay with me. I can't really tell you too much about Haru because I don't want to spoil the entire series for you, but I can tell you that he was sent to Earth along with his sister Coco to save the world by means of, well, fishing. How? You gotta watch the show for that one, buddy. Third character is... I totally forgot his name. I just read it and I forgot it. I almost said Natsuki Subaru. Fucking... we're in ReZero now. Third character is no other than Natsuki Usami, otherwise known as the Fishing Prince. So Natsuki isn't really big at interacting with people. I mean, same. But he is very widely known for winning national fishing competitions, which is what gave him the name the Fishing Prince. Natsuki works in a local fishing shop and is actually the one who teaches Yuki and Haru how to fish. And while at first Natsuki is kind of against this idea, I hate my life. And while at first Natsuki is against this idea of just helping them or even being around them, to be honest, he ends up growing pretty close to them. And last, but definitely not least, is my favorite character, Akira Agarkar, I forget his last name. Akira Agarkar Yamada. Akira is a mysterious Indian man who is always accompanied by his trusty sidekick, which is a duck named Tapioca. This anime gets weird, okay? You figure it out pretty quickly, but Akira is actually a spy sent from an organization called DUCK, which means... let me get my laptop to tell you, because I can't remember. Defensive Universal Confidential Keepers. There you go. And he's sent to spy on Haru because, well, the alien thing, obviously. To keep a close eye on Haru, Akira actually transfers into their class despite being 25 years old. And Akira actually ends up joining them on their fishing activities and becomes close with them as well. So those are the biggest characters in the series, so I'm gonna go ahead and jump right into a summary of the first episode, so let's go. Who the fuck is texting me? The first episode starts out with Yuki and his grandma moving to a small rural town in the middle of Japan called Enoshima. Yuki explains to the audience that he's moved to different cities with his grandma more times than he can count, and this caused him to never make a friend in his life or learn any of the social skills that come with making friends. The next day starts and you can see that Yuki and his grandmother have moved into the house successfully, and then Yuki leaves to start his first day at his new school. This scene cuts off and then you see Haru walking up to the Sanada household and introducing himself to the grandmother saying, "Hi, my name's Haru, I'm an alien." Way to be discreet there, buddy. Haru basically just walks up to the nameplate and writes his own name on it saying, "I live here now." And French grandma, for some fucking reason, is like, "You sure do, but you have to make a promise for me." And that promise is unknown by the audience at this time, but is described later on. But I'm just gonna pause right here. You just let this boy who introduced himself as an alien just waltz into the house and live there? What? What? This fucking befuddles me. Mom, who and what the fuck is that? Oh, don't worry, honey. She's an alien. I let him live with us since he agreed to do our dishes. Dude. Anyway. Anyway, suddenly you see the scene of Haru talking to the grandmother through the scenes of binoculars, and behind them is none other than our favorite spy, Akira. Akira wonders out loud to his duck Tapioca, why on earth would Haru come here? And then he ends up just saying, he's probably just a tourist, nothing to worry about. In the next scene you see Yuki entering the classroom of his new school where the teacher explains that there are actually 2 new transfer students, but one seems to be running late. Yuki gets up in front of the class and starts to introduce himself, and he actually does this relatively well, and he's very proud of himself for not freaking out and making a scary face. Class is about to begin when the door opens and in walks Haru carrying a fishing pole. The teacher explains that this is the other transfer student, and Haru introduces himself by again saying he's a fucking alien. Like, why? Way to fucking be discreet. You're gonna get captured by the fucking CIA so fast. They're gonna experiment on your ass and it's all going to be bad from there on out because you... What? Do you think I go up to people and tell them my secrets? No. That scene ends and you can see Yuki and Haru walking home from school together. Haru is trying to get Yuki to go fishing with him, but Yuki keeps telling him no, like, who are you? Just get away. Haru ends up skirting Yuki in the face with a squirt gun, and the next thing he knows is Yuki's waking up in a fishing shop? But this is not just any fishing shop, this is actually the fishing shop where Natsuki works at. Haru walks up to Natsuki, squirts him in the face with a water gun, and then walks right up to Yuki and squirts him in the face again as well. When they both open their eyes again, they're standing on a pier with fishing gear. Haru asks Natsuki to give them special fishing lessons, and this begins Natsuki's teaching to them, but Yuki doesn't really get the whole idea of it. He thinks fishing's just for old men. Natsuki tells Yuki if he's not going to fish, should just go home. But Yuki throws his lure in the water anyway. Natsuki immediately scolds him and tells him, no, that's not how you're supposed to fish with a lure, that's how you fish with bait. Yuki's like, I don't fucking know, I've never fished before. This causes Yuki's anxiety to swell, and you can see the water actually go up over his head as he feels like he is drowning. Before anything else can happen, a fish actually bites onto Yuki's lure. Yuki doesn't know what to do, so he lets the fish pull him all over the pier. Natsuki ends up stepping in, grabbing the pole with him, and tells him how to reel it in. But the line breaks and the fish, which was a sea bass, ends up getting away. The next scene is Yuki at home exhausted. He lays in front of the door and mentally plays through his day in his head. His grandmother walks in and tells him welcome home and sees the fishing pole and is like, oh, did you go fishing today? Did you go with a friend? Yuki's like, I wouldn't really call him a friend. And it's about at this time where the doorbell rings and Haru busts in through the doors saying that he's home. Yuki, having not known about his new roommate, is understandably confused and is like, what the fuck? The episode ends with Haru chasing Yuki around the house and through the yard saying, come on, let's save the world together, it'll be fun! Then there's a small internal monologue from Yuki that goes as such. Save the world? What the hell does that mean? And yet, as ridiculous as it sounded, that's exactly what ended up happening. More or less. Alright, so that was the summary of the first episode, so I'm gonna go ahead and jump right into the rating. Like last time, I'm going to use a 1 out of 10 rating scale that is ranked on 3 different categories, and that is story progression, character development, and animation. The story progression for this anime is a little slow at first. The whole first half of the anime plus a little more is basically just learning episodes and filler, with the last 4 episodes being the episodes where shit gets real. So while the story progression is kind of slow and thrown together haphazardly, it's still very interesting unless you learn a lot about the characters and become more attached to them. Next is character development. There's a lot of character development in this anime, a little for each character. The way that Yuki comes out of his shell from never having made a friend in his life to now having 3 very close friends. Haru is probably the one that lacks the character development the most in this anime. The only thing is really having no idea how humans work in the beginning of the series to kind of understanding them a little bit more in the end. Natsuki is able to come out of his stern, unfriendly phase, and like Yuki, becomes very close to the other 3 boys. And then Akira, who is actually there in the beginning to get the scoop on Haru and being completely loyal to his agency, ends up breaking away from them and working more with the other 3 boys. Third is animation. I love the animation of this anime. Even though it is so simplistic, it is so beautiful, and I think the thing that sticks out most to me about it is how colorful it is. This makes the anime very unique and kind of unlike anything I've ever seen before. Oh, and if you're a fan of Digimon and you've seen the stuff about the new movie coming out, Digimon Adventures Try, then the character designs probably look a little familiar to you. And that's because the same artist, Uki Atsuya, actually designed both characters for Tsuritama in the new Digimon movie. I think that's pretty cool. I mean, at least I do, but I'm a fucking weeb, so overall I'm going to give this anime a 7.5 out of 10. I really loved this anime. For a long time it held a really special place in my heart. And after doing this episode of Let's Talk Anime, I kinda have the itch to rewatch the whole entire series again. So, well, this has been another episode of Let's Talk Anime. I hope you enjoyed it. I love making them. I mean, I love talking about anime, so these are fun for me. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and subscribe and give this video a like. Thanks for watching, and you guys have a great day.